My mother-in-law, unaware that I pay $5,600 in rent, told me to leave once my husband's first child is born. Since Michael and Sarah returned home for the birth, my mother-in-law coldly declared, "Please leave." Her eldest son and his wife were set to arrive in 3 days. "I need to leave?" I asked, confused and shocked. "Yes. We don't need another maternal figure anymore. You've been redundant for a while. Michael and his family will live here, so you shouldn't be here by tomorrow," she continued. "Before I begin, I want to thank each of you for joining us on this incredible journey. Sometimes the most significant moments come when we finally realize our worth. Have you ever felt like an outsider in someone else's world? This story might hit you hard before we embark on this journey with our protagonist. Subscribe to become part of our community of those who value stories of self-discovery and unexpected strength. Now, let's dive into the story. I knew I was never truly accepted into the family from the day I got married. I was considered a wife, but I never imagined I'd be told to leave. "You're a barren failure," she added. "You were given a chance to feel what it's like to raise a child. Be grateful. We're no longer obligated to support you. It seems Simon is tired of you too." What about Simon? I swallowed the lump in my throat. If this wasn't a conspiracy between my mother-in-law and Michael, then I no longer needed to be polite with my husband. It was foolish to kick me out, but it was my mother-in-law who ignited this conflict. Now I don't care what happens to this house. Let them face the reality they've denied for so long. My name is Anna Thompson. I'm 45 years old, and I live with my husband and mother-in-law in a popular neighborhood near the train station. Downtown is just a short walk away. When we were looking for a place to live, my picky husband, who had recently been promoted to a managerial position, insisted on a spacious apartment. The rent was expensive, but the size and number of rooms justified the cost. My husband, Simon, is 8 years older than me and divorced. We met through a mutual friend. I was captivated by his warm kindness, a trait typical of mature men. After 2 years of dating, we decided to get married, even after I told him about my infertility due to a past illness. His feelings toward me didn't change, nor did mine when I learned about his past. Simon has a son, Michael, from his first marriage. I'm sorry for asking you, someone who's never been married, to live with my parents and son. I won't let you suffer. I'll make you happy, he promised me. To ensure I didn't feel constrained, my husband suggested moving into a larger apartment where I'd have my own room. Michael, who turned 10 this year, didn't need much attention. My mother-in-law was around. "You won't have to overwork yourself," he assured me. After his divorce, Simon received help from his parents in raising Michael at their house. A few years later, his father died in an accident, and it seems my mother-in-law took over caring for Michael. From our first meeting, Michael avoided looking me in the eye. I assumed it was due to shyness or his age and didn't think much of it. As long as I was accepted into the family, I was content. My mother-in-law seemed like a calm and refined woman. When I came to formally introduce myself after the engagement, she was so polite that I thought we'd get along living under the same roof. "I'll cook as usual. Simon comes home late, so it's fine if we eat separately, right, Anna? I'll leave the cleaning and laundry to you, okay? Let's get along," she said. After the wedding, I switched from full-time to part-time work at the pharmacy due to the division of household chores. I started work later and returned home around 8 in the evening. Dinner was always ready for me, which I appreciated in our shared life. My mother-in-law and Michael ate earlier, so I dined alone. Even after the wedding, I sometimes felt, is this it? But I accepted that this was our family dynamic. From the beginning, my mother-in-law didn't like me and never considered me one of her own. "Michael's school activity day is before summer, right? When is it? We should all go watch," I said one day after the wedding, trying to bond with Michael, who still wasn't used to me. "No, I meant to say—" Michael hesitated, but my mother-in-law cut in. Simon and I will go together, Anna. You don't need to worry about anything. I misunderstood her words, thinking she was looking out for me. I can take the day off. Let's go together, I offered. There's no need for you to. You're Simon's wife, but Michael's family is just me and Simon, she snapped. I was deeply taken aback. That night I told my husband about it, and he said, Mom is attached to Michael. She thinks you're trying to take him away. I'll talk to her later. Eventually, I started attending school events as a mother, but outside of school, Michael and I barely interacted. Sometimes I felt like he wanted to say something, but my mother-in-law always interfered. Later, I learned she was turning him against me. Anna said she'd be happier with Simon if you weren't around. She's awful and tricked your dad, she told him. If a boy that age hears something like that, it's no wonder he didn't trust me. It was a vile story, but back then, I didn't suspect my mother-in-law was capable of such things. After high school, Michael immediately moved in with his girlfriend and left home as soon as he started college. A year after he began working, he married her without a ceremony. When Michael moved out, my mother-in-law suddenly abandoned household chores. It seemed her only pleasure became nitpicking me. She stopped cooking like she used to and would just sit at the table, waiting for me to come home. Without a moment's rest, I'd stand in the kitchen making dinner. You're so slow, you'll be at it until midnight at this rate, she'd say. I was never great at cooking, partly because I'd grown used to relying on her. When I cooked, she'd taste every dish and always complain. This tastes awful. I'm sorry, I'm trying, I'd reply. You have an astonishing lack of taste, Anna. It's a good thing Michael never ate your slop. It would have been terrible, she'd continue. If she disliked it so much, she could have cooked herself, but it seemed she just wanted to criticize me. She started nitpicking not just the food, but also the cleaning, which I hadn't done before, and the laundry. Why are there so many wrinkles on the clothes? You need to vacuum every corner. Can't you do anything properly? Didn't your family teach you anything? She'd sigh, glaring at me. By insulting even my family, I'd clench my fists in anger. I don't know what Simon saw in you. I see no feminine charm. She'd always end with the same line. If it weren't for you, Michael wouldn't have left. I understood that her heart felt empty after Michael moved out. Maybe it was empty nest syndrome. I convinced myself that if venting her frustrations on me made her life easier, I'd endure it. But her attacks intensified after one event, the announcement of Sarah's pregnancy, Michael's wife. My mother-in-law's joy was indescribable. It's Michael's child. It'll be adorable. My first grandchild, she beamed. Seeing their happiness, I smiled too, but her excitement was excessive. Perhaps it was because Michael had asked, Grandma, can Sarah give birth at your place? Her family's home is an hour's flight away, and they don't have anyone here but us. Of course, my mother-in-law couldn't refuse Michael. Calls from Michael became more frequent, and her enthusiasm went through the roof. The day after the news, she dove into preparations, cleaning Michael's room, making the bed, and making a list of baby items. It was like a happy grandmother frenzy. Naturally, I had to pitch in. Coming home from work, I'd hear, Anna, I vacuumed Michael's room but scrubbed the floors and windows, then waxed them. This weekend we'll go shopping for a crib. Cleaning and waxing at night after work was exhausting. If I tried to cut corners, I was told to redo it. Then my mother-in-law started demanding money, and soon the house was filled with baby items. Anna, withdraw some cash tomorrow. We need to buy more things for the baby, she'd say. Aren't we buying too much? Sarah and Michael haven't even arrived yet. Maybe we should wait and pick things out with them? I objected. I wanted to please her, but the uncontrolled spending worried me. How can you be so heartless? This is Simon's grandchild, she snapped. Oh, right. You're not related to Michael by blood, so you don't care. That's not true. Don't say that, I replied. I just thought Sarah might want to choose things for her baby herself. Maybe my words struck a nerve, because my mother-in-law shot me a withering look. I realized I'd gone too far, but it was too late. She silently walked to her room, clearly offended. I started overthinking, shocked by her reaction. The next morning, she didn't come out of her room, still angry, I guessed. That day, Simon left for a 3-day business trip, shouting through the door, "I'm leaving!" Before he left, he told me, "Don't ruin Mom's joy about the grandchild. She hasn't been herself since Michael left. You were worried too, right?" "Yes, but if we spend everything now, what'll be left when Michael and Sarah arrive?" I replied. Simon's face soured. "Are you saying I don't earn enough?" he asked. "No, not at all," I protested. Simon grumbled, "Fine," and left, looking displeased. Conversations about money always ended like this. I managed our finances and couldn't help but think ahead. There was a reason for that. We've been married for 13 years, and Simon had provided me with a comfortable life. "Your money from your part-time job is for your enjoyment," he'd say. I saved everything I didn't spend on myself, and though the account was in my name, I considered it joint. But then things at Simon's company took a turn for the worse, and over the last 5 years, his salary dropped to 2/3 of what it used to be. It's doubtful his firm will survive until retirement, but he didn't want to change jobs to avoid losing face in front of his mother. Simon clung to his managerial status. Now I pay the rent, and he covers household expenses. We kept this from my mother-in-law to protect his reputation. That day, I left work early to apologize to her. At home, she was already sitting at the table, waiting for me. "I'm sorry about yesterday. I think I overstepped," I said. But she stayed silent. Instead, she dropped a bombshell. "Michael and Sarah are coming back home for the birth. Clear out," she announced coldly. Her eldest son and his wife were arriving in 3 days. Stunned, I asked, "I need to leave?" "Yes," she confirmed. "We don't need another mother. You've been redundant for a while. Michael and his family will live here. You shouldn't be here by tomorrow." The realization hit hard. I was never accepted into the family from the first day of our marriage. I'd always been an outsider. Michael's return for the birth put everything into perspective. "You're a barren failure," she continued. "You were given a chance to raise a child. Be grateful. We're no longer obligated to support you. It seems Simon is tired of you. Maybe he's already with someone else." Shocked, I swallowed hard, wondering if I'd fallen into a trap by believing my husband wasn't capable of this. I remembered that until last year, he never had overnight business trips. "Fine, I'll eat out tonight," I said, grabbing my bag and walking out to wander aimlessly. I needed to calm my shaken heart. Worried about my husband, I called him despite her words, but he didn't answer no matter how many times I tried. I called his office. They said he'd taken a few days off. Her words started to feel true. Was he really with another woman? Dark thoughts overwhelmed me. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Stumbling along, I noticed a tavern near the station, a place we used to go often when we first moved here. It's still here, I thought, and walked in. "Welcome," the owner said. His face darkened for a moment, but he nodded, recognizing me. "It's been a while, 8 years, I think. I used to come here often with my husband," I said. "Yes, a long time. I remember you," he replied. I smiled, feeling a sense of relief. "Can I have a beer and some grilled chicken assortment?" I asked. The owner, as taciturn as ever, nodded. Sipping the cold beer and savoring the chicken, I pulled out my phone. The lock screen lit up with a photo of Michael at 18, in an elegant suit we'd picked out together. I'd hoped we'd grow closer as a family. The beer washed away the day's stress. Will I be able to move out tomorrow? I wondered, searching for moving companies. I found one available for tomorrow and saved the contacts of 2 junk removal firms. Changing my lock screen felt like clearing my mind. The beer and chicken were delicious. I decided to think everything over at home. As I was leaving, I heard a call. A young waitress ran up to me. "Excuse me, are you Mrs. Thompson? I saw the photo on your lock screen," she said, confirming. "Who am I?" Then she dropped a bombshell. "Your husband is cheating with one of our staff. We exchanged numbers, and she promised to keep me updated." My mother-in-law's words were confirmed. Instead of sadness, rage surged within me. It was time to act. Scheduling the move for tomorrow, I decided, if this wasn't a conspiracy between my mother-in-law and Michael, I had no reason to respect my husband anymore. At home, I packed until midnight without hesitation. The movers arrived in the morning, and I made it clear I was leaving as instructed. They took everything I'd bought, erasing traces of my presence. My mother-in-law panicked, but I was resolute. "I'm taking everything that's mine. You can start your new life tomorrow," I said, holding back laughter. Ignoring her protests, I continued moving things out. She loudly complained to the movers, but there was nothing she could do. The house was left with only the baby items and her old pre-marriage dresser. "Well, goodbye. There shouldn't be a trace of me left. Enjoy your life with Simon, Michael, and his family," I said, leaving her stunned. I placed the keys on the table and walked out. The movers held onto my things, and I decided to stay with a single colleague. Feeling a sense of closure, I slept soundly. A week later, my husband finally called. I wondered if he was plotting something with that woman. While he stalled, the girl from the tavern texted me. "I took photos. I'll send them." In the pictures, Simon was flirting with an older woman. Out of a sense of justice, she'd followed them after closing. There was a photo of them entering a hotel. Even now, he's cheating, I thought, and the last remnants of attachment to him vanished. I found out the woman's name and address. The next day, with proof of the affair, I got a call from my husband. "Anna, where are you?" "Michael and his family are here. Aren't you coming back?" he asked. "No, I'm not coming back. Your mom told me to leave. I'm done." "Michael and his family will live with you, right?" "You know, they don't have money, and they want to stay with us," I replied. I'd heard that after trade school, they'd bounced between jobs and were now working part-time. "No, I want you to come back." "I went to the pharmacy. They said you're on leave. Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine, don't worry. Your mom and Michael never liked me, did they?" "I guess they're happy the house is theirs now," I said sarcastically. Simon fell silent. He knew they didn't accept me, but pretended not to notice. "Fine, I have something to say. I'll come back once," he replied, sounding relieved. A few days later, I returned home for the first time in a while. Inside, there was new furniture and appliances. Michael and Sarah nodded from the couch without getting up. As I sat down, my mother-in-law glared at me. Tension hung in the air, and I wanted to leave quickly, but Michael spoke up. "What are you doing here? You took everything from the house. Who does that?" "Who supported you? You had it easy." I sighed. "I took everything because I bought it. I wanted to erase my presence as you wanted, right?" I said. "That's nonsense. You couldn't have bought all that with your part-time pharmacy job," Simon said. I looked at him, and he spoke as if he'd resigned himself. We'd been living off what we earned together for a long time. I explained to my stunned husband. "Your company's doing poorly. Your salary dropped. For the last 5 years, I've been covering the shortfall, but it wasn't enough, so now I pay the rent." My mother-in-law looked at Simon in surprise. "I'm not just an assistant. I'm a part-time pharmacist, and they pay well. I earn more than you," I added. Simon looked away, while my mother-in-law's eyes darted between us. "Now, Michael, you'll pay the rent. You'll be living here. After all your grandma's help, it's time you take care of her," I said. Michael looked at me, stunned. "Rent? How much?" he asked. $5,600. Good luck. My role as a mother is over. I'm not obligated to support you. Step up. You're about to be a father, I replied. Michael muttered, shaking his head. That's unrealistic. Sarah exclaimed, $5,600? Weren't we supposed to live here for free, covering rent and expenses? I almost laughed. Don't worry, Sarah, you'll move somewhere cheaper. Simon still earns decently, I said. Sarah relaxed a bit. By the way, Simon, since I'm leaving, your life with your mistress will get complicated, I added. Sarah burst into tears. Simon panicked. What? What are you talking about? Sarah replied, Your mom mentioned another woman. It's time to end her playing my role as your wife. He thought. There's no proof. It's been less than 10 days since I left. Won't Mary be upset when she finds out? I said. Mentioning Mary's name made him flinch. He realized I knew everything and grabbed his head. This isn't the time for divorce papers. I'm leaving. We'll handle the rest through a lawyer, I said. Neither Simon nor Michael objected, silently watching as I grabbed my bag and stood. My mother-in-law jumped up, slamming the table, and shouted louder than I'd expect from an old woman. What the hell? This is your fault. Our home is falling apart. Anger surged within me. You told me to leave. You said Simon had another woman, and you ruined my relationship with Michael. This is all because of you. I snapped. I regretted not being more assertive with Michael because of her. Michael has nothing to do with this. It's time you grow up. Simon's in trouble. Support him like a wife. Take responsibility for the family, she yelled. What was she talking about? If she hadn't invited Michael back, hadn't hinted at the affair, I'd still be supporting Simon and the house. I always believed in him, I thought. Where are you, Michael? Why are you here? This is her fault. My mother-in-law's lips tightened, and she trembled. I walked past her and quickly left. Later, Simon easily agreed to the divorce. My resolve was firm, and he didn't deny the proof of his affair. Soon, they started moving out of the apartment. Michael and Sarah returned to their place and didn't stay with my mother-in-law. Simon seems to be considering another marriage, but Mary is furious about alimony and his request to live with his mother. I heard they're deciding whether to put my mother-in-law in a nursing home. After all her love for her son and grandson, it's sad they're ready to abandon her. Maybe she's outlived her usefulness. If she'd stayed quiet back then, and it had just been a visit for the birth, we might still be living together. After the divorce, Michael sent me an apology letter. He wrote about how, as a child, he wanted me to spoil him, how he couldn't talk to me because of his grandma, and how happy he was when I came to his school events. Maybe I should have tried harder. We could have had a different relationship. Though it's over, I quietly wish Michael happiness. I returned to my pharmacy job and rented an apartment near the store. I felt awkward keeping the furniture and appliances I took, so I called a disposal service. Life without my mother-in-law's nitpicking is calm and pleasant, and for now I want to live for myself, not for others.